You're a Nigerian, you will get to agree with me that Igbo people have been marginalized in Nigeria so bad. I mean, Igbo nation, Igbo race have been marginalized. In fact, I can tell you for free that Igbos are the most marginalized tribe in the whole of Africa. Yes, Igbo people are the most marginalized tribe in the whole of Africa. Sometimes when I read on the comment section, when they make any post about, bloggers make any post about Igbo people and the Biafra and all the rest, I see people coming out to say, you guys are always complaining that you are marginalized, you guys are always complaining, you guys are this, you guys are that. But I can tell you for free, the most patient tribe in the whole of Africa are Igbos. And the most committed tribe in development in the whole of Africa, they are Igbos. In fact, let me tell you something. In Nigeria today, if there's no Igbo, there's no Nigeria. Yes. Without Igbos, there's no Nigeria. There will be no Nigeria if there is no Igbo. This is one of the reasons why Nigerian authorities, Nigerian government would rather kill themselves than to allow Biafrans to go. Yeah. Because they don't understand the importance of Igbo nation in Nigeria. Now, come to think of it, you can agree with me. Igbos are being marginalized. Look at what's going on in the south, in the northern part of Nigeria. How terrorists are being pampered. Some of them are being rehabilitated, settled, and reintegrated back to the society. I mean, these are terrorists that have been terrorizing the whole entire nation, that have been killing, maiming, raping, and doing all manner of things, killing our soldiers. And when our gallant soldiers are able to catch them, all our government could do is to rehabilitate them, give them money, and reintegrate them back to the society. And this has been going on for a very long time, right from Buhari's regime. This thing has been going on, and it became worse in Tinubu's regime. Terrorists are being pampered. Terrorists in the north are being classified as bandits, are being classified as angry youths. But come to think of it, in the eastern part of Nigeria, when Biafran secessionists came out to demand for freedom, they were killed. These are unarmed citizens that came out to demand for freedom. They were killed. Some of them are being jailed. Some of them are being thrown inside jail for a very, very, very long time. And nothing happened. But terrorists that have been ravaging, killing, maiming people in Nigeria, Fulani headsmen, they tag them Fulani headsmen. Meanwhile, these are full-blown terrorists that have been walking around with AK-47, pump action. A Fulani headsman, having AK-47. What are you doing with AK-47? And you are pampering them, calling them bandits. Meanwhile, Biafrans that are seeking for freedom, you tag them terrorists. Since 2022 or 2021, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been in detention in DSS custody for a very long time. And what is the offense of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Because he came out and said, I want freedom. You didn't catch him with gun. You didn't catch him with machete. You didn't catch him with any sophisticated weapon. You went all the way to Kenya, kidnap him, repatriate him down to Nigeria, and detain him in DSS detention. All this while, stepping on top of his right and still claiming right on top of it. The same thing that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was accused of, the same thing Sunday Igboho did. But today, where is Sunday Igboho? Sunday Igboho is working freely and currently is in UK as we speak. Sunday Igboho is actually free and is working freely in Nigeria. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still in detention. And mind you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was detained before Sunday Igboho was arrested. He still remained in custody until Sunday Igboho was released. The same thing happening in the northern part of Nigeria. Tuji Bello is a well-known terrorist that has been terrorizing the whole Nigeria, terrorizing the northeastern part of Nigeria, killing, maiming, raping, and abducting young boys, putting them into their terrorist group. And all the government could do is to sit in negotiation table to negotiate with a terrorist like Turji Bello. Now I keep wondering, where is the conscience of this government? To be honestly speaking, in fact, what I'm seeing in Tinubu's regime is even worse than what I saw in Buhari's regime. The hate I saw in Buhari's regime against the Igbos is worse than what I'm seeing now. What I'm seeing now is even worse. Because you can't tell me that you love Igbo nation, you love Igbo race, you love Igbo people, and you are still holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ransom. If you truly love Igbo people, you want one Nigeria for real. Court have already granted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In fact, court did not grant him bail. Court acquitted his case. Court acquitted this case, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should go home and meet his family. But no, they are still holding him ransom, despite the court order. This is uncalled for. I don't know where we are going from here. And sometimes I keep asking questions. Where are the Igbo politicians? Why do we Igbos hate ourselves to this extent? Why do we so much hate ourselves? Why are we so conscious of money? Why are we so selfish? Why are we so self-centered that we will see the injustice that is meted on our people, and we have the power and the influence to make sure that we turn things around? Rather, we change it and go, take it the other way. Stay on their side and be oppressing your own people. And you are shouting insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria. You are shouting insecurity, killing young boys. You don't know the root of the insecurity. The root of the insecurity is because you are holding someone that they don't want you to hold. And people have been clamoring for a long time and telling you, please, release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for us. And you are still holding him ransom. People like Kopo Uzodinma cannot tell me that you don't have the power and the influence to negotiate with Tinubu so that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released. What is his gain if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu die, God forbid, dies in detention, in DSS detention? And besides, according to the law of Nigeria, does Mazi Nnamdi Kanu supposed to spend 48 hours, okay, let me say 1 week in DSS custody? Why not send him to jail? Send him to awaiting trial. Since he's on trial, why still keeping him in DSS custody? Do you think that Orji Zokalo does not have the capacity to have a mutual conversation with Tinubu so that they can be able to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Do you think that Soludo don't have the capacity? Do you think that a lot of them, David Mark, all of them, all the Igbo politicians, do you think they don't have the capacity to be in negotiation table with Tinubu to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? If they really, really want to release him, because they know very well that this man is a force, that if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is free today, their political career will die. They understand that fact. That is why they are using Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to play politics. What is the hate all about against the Igbo race? And I can tell you for free, without Igbo, there is no Nigeria. The Igbo people are committed in development, not just development in their region. If you talk about the development in Lagos State today, Igbo people contributed 70% of the development in Lagos State. Igbo people contributed 50% of the development in Abuja. Igbo people contributed every single state in Nigeria today. Igbo people contributed such amount of percentage in their development. So why the hate on Igbos? You talk about one Nigeria. Nobody is more one Nigerian than Igbo man. Igbo man will go to the north, will go to Maiduguri, purchase a land in Maiduguri and build house in Maiduguri. But an Hausa man will never do it in the eastern part of Nigeria. Igbo man will summon courage, travel to Katsina, buy a land in Katsina, and build a mansion in Katsina. But an Hausa man will never do it in the eastern part of Nigeria. Igbo man will build factories in the northern part of Nigeria, build in the western part of Nigeria, but Yoruba people will never do it in the eastern part of Nigeria. So who is more Nigerian than Igbo man? Who is not more patriotic than Igbo man? Who is more one Nigeria than Igbo man? So why the hate? And you are complaining, you are complaining that we are complaining that we are being marginalized. We are being marginalized, and it's obvious. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. If you think that negotiation, it will be, being in a negotiation table with terrorists is the perfect way to bring peace, why not be in a negotiation table with the IPOB or with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Why not? Because you think that we can't do anything. That is why Buhari called us dots, that we are tiny. But without that tiny people, without that dot, there is no Nigeria. Okay, since we are tiny, why not let us go? Why not let us go? They complain about landlocked. Yes, we are not the only region that is landlocked. Burkina Faso is also landlocked, but they are country of their own. Until we learn to unite ourselves, Igbo people, until we learn to unite ourselves, until we learn to call a spade, until we learn to fight our enemies, until we learn to understand the fact that we are being marginalized, until we learn to hold our leaders accountable, making them to understand that we all know very well that they are using us to play politics, we can't start getting things right, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not be released. These people does not have any plan of releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And without releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it's obvious to the whole world that Igbo people are being marginalized. If Sunday Igboho is walking freely today, what is holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in detention? Because the same crime that they are accusing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of is the same crime Sunday Igboho committed, as they say. Why be on a negotiation table with the terrorists? Terrorists that have been ravaging and setting houses ablaze, killing people, raping people, killing our soldiers. Why on the negotiation table with them? Why is the federal government silent about what is going on in the north, in the north with the terrorists? Why are they silent? Because they think that we are nobody, but God is watching. Thank you very much. See you guys in the next one.